If you are planning to become a data scientist, I would recommend that you completely watch this video, because in this video, I'm going to share with you what I think is the most direct and clear path towards learning all the data science skills you need and actually getting your first job as a data scientist. And this is based on my 10 plus years of experience working as a data scientist in the US tech industry. So the very first thing you should very clearly think about is that should you actually become a data scientist or not? And for that, you have to look at different aspects. One aspect is that you have to look at your personality and see that if the traits which are needed to become a successful data scientist, do you actually have them or not? The second aspect is that what is the future of data science? Because if the future of data science is not good, then probably this is not the good profession to come in. So that is definitely one thing you should be carefully looking at. The third thing is that considering the difficulty of learning all the concepts of data science, do you think that you would really be able to do it or not? So let's quickly touch on all of them very quickly. So in terms of the personality, some things which you have to keep in mind is that data science is not conventional software engineering, which means that if you want to become a data scientist, you would have to learn new skills on pretty much on a daily basis. I've been working as a data scientist for 10 plus years, and I still, till this date, are learning new things in data science. And that is because the nature of data science is very innovation oriented. There is a lot of research happening on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of new tools are getting launched. So if you want to become a data scientist, learning would become a very integral and key part of your life. So you have to see that, do you have that love for ongoing continuous learning or not? The other thing different about data science, especially when we compare it against conventional software engineering, is that this is very open-ended, problem-solving kind of a job. Because in other software engineering fields, usually you are given some very clear tasks, and then you have to go and fix those bugs or enhancement features one by one. But in data science, most of the time, the problems you have at hand, they are very vague. And then you have to play the role of a detective to figure out what is the problem, what is the available data, how you can use it, and to what extent you can actually solve that problem. So problem solving is a very key skill which makes this profession slightly different than conventional software engineering. So this is something you should also keep in mind. The third thing is that data science is a very communication heavy role generally. If you are, for example, a Java developer, you might get away and become successful even if you do not have very strong communication skills. But in data science, one of the key differentiators between people who are very successful and others who are not is communication. So keep in mind all these things when you are thinking that is data science a good profession for not. The second thing which you have to look about is what is the future of data science? And I have made many videos about it. And since this is the industry I have been working in for so long, definitely my views on this are a little biased. So I would encourage you to do your own research, what you think is the future of data science. And there are many metrics which you can look at to see that where the industry is going. But I think the number one metric, which is the most important to look at, is that what are the number of open jobs which are opening up around data science, AI, ML role. And there are very few websites which track that. TrueUp is one of those. And if you go on TrueUp and look for that AI ML category, you would see that the number of open jobs for AI ML data science role, they're just continuously increasing. And this is not the case with every domain and every software engineering category. But do your own research, but think about it, that what do you think is the future of data science? Because you don't want to jump into a sinking ship. If you think that the future of data science is not good, then definitely don't come and become a data scientist. But if you think that future is bright, then definitely this is a valid profession to consider. The third thing about difficulty, and I've seen a lot of people having a lot of reluctance that they think they cannot become a data scientist. I honestly think that if you have decent communication skills and you have decent skills in terms of computer usage and you can type at a decent speed, then in terms of learning data science, it will vary depending on what your starting point is. But everyone can become a data scientist. I mean, of course, it will help that if you have some data background or if you have some knowledge about programming, these skills will definitely help you fast track your career in terms of becoming a data scientist. But even if you do not have it, it will take you 2 to 3 months to learn these skills, and then you can take the next steps in terms of becoming a data scientist actually. So this is basically to answer the question that should you even become a data scientist or not. Now let's look at the next question which you should have in mind, and which is, what should I learn? Because if you go and look at YouTube videos or any other tutorial, Udemy, there are countless courses, there are infinite number of blog posts and a lot of other material which will take you lifetime to go through, and everyone will be talking about different things. Someone would say that you should learn this skill, someone would say that you should learn this skill. I think to clear the noise around that, a very useful exercise would be that you begin with the end in mind, and the end goal for you is landing a data science job, right? So in that case, what I would suggest is that you go on LinkedIn, you search for data science roles which do not require a lot of experience, because these would be the roles you would be applying for once you have learned different concepts of data science. So basically, your approach would be of reverse engineering where you want to get at. So to reverse engineer that, you would go on LinkedIn and you would find the job postings which are related to data science, and then look at what are the skills which are mentioned there. If you are new and you have no idea what the skills they are mentioning, even when you look at the keyword and do a little bit of Google search, try to use Google Gemini or ChatGPT for that as well. Just copy paste the job description into it and see, okay, what are the skills they're asking for. Once you have gone through 5 or 10 or 15, 20 jobs, it will give you a very clear idea on what are the things which pretty much all the job postings are asking for. Now, I have created some videos around that. You can look at that too, but I would still encourage you that you do that exercise yourself so that you could see what are the patterns emerging as you look at different jobs, and you would see that it is usually those same 8 to 10 skills which everyone is asking for. And then those 8 to 10 skills is what you would be focusing on when you start the preparation. I have a complete data science roadmap guide. The link for that is in the description. Please feel free to use that as well. But start with this and then try to compare it against the roadmap which I have provided. And that will help you see what your starting point is in terms of if there's anything which you already know, and then what the end point looks like in terms of what are all the things you have to do as you make progress in your data science learning journey. So far, we have answered the question of should you learn data science or not? Second, what should you actually learn as you are preparing for your data science interviews? Now, the third thing would be that once you have learned all these concepts which you would see in the job descriptions, it will take you 5 to 6 months depending on what your prior knowledge is. But once you are beyond that step, the next step is creating a resume which is good enough that you actually start getting your recruiter calls. So let's say what it takes to have a very good shiny resume which attracts recruiters and hiring managers' attention, and you as a result of that start getting some interview or recruiter reach outs. Now the first step would definitely be to have a bare bone of what your prior experience is, what are the skills you have learned. You have to put in a lot of that stuff into your resume along with your contact details and your degrees, etc. But that alone usually doesn't make the resume very attractive. So we have to add something which is the highlight of your resume. It has to be something that when a recruiter or someone from the hiring team looks at it, it helps your resume stand out against the competition. So I'll be listing out some things here and they will be in the increasing order of difficulty. So the very first thing which you can do is you see that if there is any prior experience which you can use here. Now, if the prior experience is very much related to data science role or is actually data science roles, that's of course the best thing. But most people who are just starting won't have that kind of experience. So in that case, you would have to look at that if you have done any job or any project or any internship in the past, how can you frame it in a perspective that it gives hiring manager and the recruiter a hint that you know some of the skills which are needed for data science job in your prior experience. For example, if you have worked as a university researcher, then you can say that I have collected the data, I have analyzed the data, even if the data use case was different and you are doing some other research, but the fact that you had experience compiling and gathering a lot of real life data and cleaning it up, these are all the skills which are required in the data science field. So see that if there is any prior experience which you can highlight here to give the hiring team a little bit of sense that at least some skills which are needed for data science you have used in the past. Now, the second thing which you can try is LinkedIn posts. So I usually recommend people that they try to post on LinkedIn something which they have recently learned about data science, something which they are in a process of learning, or something which they are even curious about. And it should be related to data science, and you should be posting on LinkedIn on ideally daily basis. What it does is that over a period of time, you have enough posts on your LinkedIn. And since LinkedIn is something which most of the recruiters or hiring managers would definitely go and check out if they want to know more about you. Also, if you are posting a lot of content on LinkedIn about data science, LinkedIn will associate your profile with the keyword data science and other data science related keywords. And when recruiters are searching for data science talent, your LinkedIn profile would show up there. And that also increases the chances of getting the cold reach outs from the recruiters with respect to different jobs. So posting daily on LinkedIn about the things you are learning, it really helps in terms of you learning new things and putting them and phrasing them in a way which is easier for other people to look at. Also, it helps establish credibility that you are someone who is serious about data science, you know a lot about data science, and you identify yourself as a data scientist because you are publicly posting about data science concepts. So this is definitely a very good and relatively much easier exercise to do. The third thing would be that you publish data science related articles online. Medium is a very good place to start doing that. On Medium, there are different publications which are related to data science, and you can start using those publications to publish different articles you have written around data science. The reason publishing your articles through those data science publications would be that those publications have a lot of subscribers already. So if you post something through them, then that gets a lot of reach, and also it helps build credibility when you post on your resume that you are not only a data scientist, you're also an author who writes about data science topics on these and these publications. That definitely helps stand out that you are a serious person, and it shows some sort of thought leadership as well, that you are at a stage that you're teaching other people data scientists. The good thing about Medium and especially these data science publications is that the writing quality bar, it doesn't have to be very high. They are not asking you to innovate something new. Even if you want to write an article about linear regression and it is well written, easy to understand, easy to follow article, most likely a lot of these publications will accept that. And then as you keep publishing these articles, it helps you build credibility. And then you can post the link for those publication articles on your LinkedIn, and that further helps establish your brand as a data scientist. Now, fourth thing which you should try is that try to see if you can get an unpaid data science job. And for that, there are different websites which connect aspiring data scientists with some non-profit organizations. So you can volunteer for some non-profit work and do some work there, and that helps you get some experience which you can put on your resume. So instead of having no experience at all, now you have a verifiable, genuine experience which not only helps you with your skill set, but also in your resume, it is something which really differentiates you, because getting the first data science job is usually the hardest part. So if you could show it that you're already working as a data scientist, even if it is an unpaid job, that still goes a long way in terms of differentiating yourself. The last thing, which is probably the most difficult, is that you try to make some open source contribution. And what I mean by that is that a lot of data science libraries or Python libraries, they are open source. And if you go look at their code base and try to understand it and actually make some edits there which get approved and get part of the package, then you can claim that you are a contributor towards some machine learning or Python library. And it is usually the hardest because for that, you need a very good understanding of that tool. You need to be very good at coding. But the positive thing is that once you are able to do it, then that definitely goes a long way in terms of differentiating your profile and communicating to the recruiting team that you are a serious candidate who have deep expertise, not only around different machine learning libraries, but you are at a point that you're contributing towards that. So these are the 5 ways in which you can create a resume which, when gets to the hiring team, it is not a run-of-the-mill, regular, fresher data science resume. It speaks that you are someone who is very serious about the profession and have already made some headway even without your first job. So if you have followed all those steps, you have first figured out should you do data science or not. You have created a list of what are things you have to learn, and you have learned it. And by following this, now you have a resume which, when goes to the hiring management team's table, it gets attention. The 4th step is actually applying for the jobs. For job applications, I would recommend that you have a very targeted approach, and instead of spraying and praying to hundreds or even thousands of jobs, you are very careful in terms of what kind of jobs you want to apply. And then when you apply, you make sure that you take all the steps to ensure that the hiring manager or the recruiter at least actually gives some attention to your profile. Now, in terms of what are the things you can do, first is that you pick a niche. And by niche, I mean something which differentiates you and helps you narrow down your focus on in terms of applying for all data science roles. Now you have a category which you want to apply for the roles. Now, some examples of categories is that if you have some prior experience in healthcare industry or education industry or banking industry, then see that if you could narrow down your focus of job search just for that specific industry, because when you put in more effort around that industry, your odds of hearing back are much higher. The second option could be that if you are that wherever you are living, you just apply to local jobs, local startups, etc., and then tell them that you are a local guy. Your odds of hearing back from them would be much higher. And this niche could also be around your skill set. For example, if most of the projects you have built with your portfolio projects or your university are around recommendations algorithms, then you can just focus on the jobs which are around building and maintaining a recommendation engine. Or it could be related to NL. But see that if you could use these combinations to narrow down on what an ideal job looks like, and then you just focus on those jobs. The idea here is not to apply to 100 jobs every day. I would suggest that you start with 10 jobs per day. And these 10 jobs are usually enough that they are in the right niche. And then when you're applying for these roles, make sure that you see that what are the skill sets asked in that job description, and then manually put them in your resume before you submit the resume. Also, have a customized cover letter that why you think you are a very good candidate for this role. So be very specific, be polite, and have a customized cover letter for each job application. Also, after applying, reach out and connect with at least 3 people which are either in the hiring team or in the recruitment team for that company, and tell them that you have applied for that role, and then connect with them on LinkedIn. Send a personalized note telling them that you have applied for that role and why you think you are a good candidate for that role. Now, that is a lot to do for a single job submission, but that is why I think if you narrow down your focus and then just apply for 10 jobs a day with all this exercise, and there are some AI tools which can help you a little bit in terms of modifying your resume and writing the cover letter, which is still customized enough, then that should take you about 1 hour to 1.5 hours on a daily basis. And this is pretty much what you should be doing on pretty much every single day. And if you keep doing it for 90 days, I'm pretty sure that you would be able to land your first data science job. So this is basically a whole roadmap on starting with should you actually do a data science career or not, and then figuring out what you have to learn, how you can make a stellar resume, and then what are all the things you can do to actually get your first data science job. And that is going to be a hard journey, but the good thing about this is that one data science job is pretty much all you need to have an excellent career as a data scientist. Because once you land your first data science job, afterwards, if you are very good at that job and really put in a lot of effort, then that one job will either just continue to grow for you, which means you'll keep getting promotions, or it will open up a lot of other doors for you because you are learning a lot of things and you are building some relationships, and then those people have a very good opinion about you and they can refer you or bring you into the other companies where they go. So getting the first data science job is hard. That is why not everyone is able to do it. But if you are somehow able to do it, then having a sustainable career as a data scientist doesn't take a lot of effort. Now, if you are curious about the step on how you can go through different LinkedIn job posts and see what are the skill sets companies are asking for, then please check out this video. This is a detailed 40-minute long video where I've gone through a lot of actual LinkedIn job postings and have seen what are the skill sets companies are asking for. I'm pretty sure you'll like it. Thank you so much for watching.